But overall, how was this week?
I mean, it's one of those weeks where it feels like you're like not getting anything done, even though you're constantly doing things. One of those.
Fair. There is one thing that I do actually want to highlight that happened this week.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I finished the very first
right.
draft of my very first full-length novel.
That's right. Yes, your first draft has been completed. Big day. Big day. Yes.
Yeah, I gotta say, 7 month anxiety, like panic attack, all shook off when I wrote that last sentence.
It's a
Just,
hell of a feeling, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, the amount of people and the amount of times that I have said that I want to write a book, that I want to do something, that I'm going to get this done, and the amount of times that I have not done that. This whole week, ever since I finished that draft, I have been just somewhat flabbergasted at myself for the fact that I actually pulled it off.
Mhm.
And yeah, like you've gone through and read some of those sections. It's kind of good.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like it's not anything incredible or amazing. It's not gonna, break the internet or sell a million copies or anything. But at the same
It might
point,
sell a few thousand. I mean, that's
I
the thing. I
don't
mean,
care. I am
it's yeah.
so damn proud of the fact, like, I was
Oh,
talking to my
100%.
family yesterday, and when we were kind of talking about it, like, that is one of these singular proudest moments of my entire life.
Yeah.
Just sitting in a bedroom, nothing happening, nobody around me, no big anything, nothing. Just
Done.
I
Yeah.
hit the final period.
Yeah.
And
You
that does not
actually,
mean I
yeah,
got
you
a
did.
hysterectomy. That means I finished a book.
Yeah, and it's a thing a lot of people think about. It's a thing a lot of people try, and yeah, and I mean, and we've talked about this before. It's like, sure, yes, I have I have finished a couple of books. The number of books I have started and not finished, I have lost count of. So yeah, to actually reach the end, to actually get to the point where you go, I did it. Like, and yeah, maybe it's not done. There is a second draft to do. There's editing to do. It doesn't
Oh,
fucking matter, man.
yeah.
Does not matter at all. The fact that you actually finished the first draft is in and of itself mighty because so
Here's
few people
something. Oh,
manage to
yeah.
do it.
Well, here's something that I was thinking about doing, and I was curious if you ever did something like this.
Hmm.
First draft of the first novel, everything. I'm kind of thinking about sending it off to the printer and having just the first draft printed.
No, don't do
Not for
that.
publication. No, 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 no. Not for publication. Not for like not anything like that.
Just
But
for your own personal,
just to
like
have
have.
that on my shelf, just to remember before any beta reader, before any changes, before any suggestions, anything.
Mhm.
That was mine. The
Yeah,
very first
no.
one. I've thought about it.
And I get that. I'm right there because I have tried to preserve previous, not in print or bounding like that, but like in the first couple of books that I wrote, I would have like, every version saved on my computer at least to be like, here was the first draft. And then when I started editing, here's version 1.5. And then and I would have like, 6 or 7 files of the entire process because yeah, there is a part of you that kind of feels like that the process is just as much, just as important as the finished product. And I can tell you from experience that once you actually do get to that finish point, once you do have the point where you can say, okay, it's actually done now, you're going to want to forget about all those other versions as fast as possible. You're going to want to pretend that the final product is the only version that has ever existed ever. Trust me on that. You're
I
not it.
can see that. I can. I just the amazing euphoria that I have been swimming in this whole week,
Mm,
like since I did that, like because that was one of those things. Like what is that? Like imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's a fucker. Yeah.
Yeah, where I was like sitting there, I finished this book, but I was like sitting back going, I finished this. I finished this? Like, like what? I what? Like, my brain cannot accept the fact that I actually did it, which is
Hmm.
the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, but that has been where this whole week has been. I've been like trying to push it out to a couple beta readers, everything like that. Get some. Does it make sense? Like any questions, anything like that. Um, it is the hard. It is one of the hardest things that I have ever done to not immediately go back and start rewrites.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Like to
I
let it
get,
sit for a little bit, to let
yeah,
it, like,
I
so
kind of
when I
get
go
that.
back, yeah, I want to dive in immediately, but I know I should let it sit for a little bit.
Yes, you absolutely should let it sit because, like, yeah, some of the best, some of the best rewrites and corrections you're going to come up with will come up after you've forgotten what you wrote. Like when you are reading your own work as a reader, it's going to work way better because
Yeah.
if it's still fresh in your head what you already wrote, you're going to you'll surprise yourself at what you skip over because your brain will kind of go like, I already know what's here, and you won't actually read it.
Yeah, I actually kind of ran through that. Kelly is rereading it, or I guess reading it in its full capacity right now. And when she got to the ending, because she's been reading it as I'm writing it, and now she's like reading it completed.
Hmm.
There's something that happened in the end. She's like, "Oh my god, that was an amazing callback to this scene," and I was like, "Uh, yeah, that was totally on purpose. I completely, yeah." No, she pointed out to me. I was like, "Oh shit, that is actually brilliant.
There you
Can I
go.
pretend that I did that on purpose?"
100%. You can. 100%. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, no, I was sitting there kind of like tussling with that. It's like, sometimes the story does tell itself, but I also want to take credit for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but what I wanted to ask, what was it like when you finished your first book? Like the first draft on your first book, like when you were at
Well,
where I'm at, or
that's
can
tough.
you even
That's a
remember?
kind of, sort of. Um, it was a different situation because my first book, I started out serializing it. So it had multiple versions. The first time I wrote it, I actually wrote it as as a series, as a short series. I was gonna put it on the internet as like a 10 episode, 5 minutes each episode type series. Me trying to be like, see, I can do TV kind of thing.
Oh, sure, sure.
Um, and then once a couple of years went by and I went, well, this is never going to happen, so I'll turn it into a book. And so I turned each episode into like a little mini novel that I released in piecemeal to like the newly popular e-readers of the world that were
Mm.
getting things off things like Smashwords, not even like actual ebook sales. There were just these like random internet places where people would just download, short books at random for like 99 cents a pop or less or something like that. And that's where it went. And it wasn't until I finished the last one that I went like, okay, so now I can bundle this all together as one book and sell that on Amazon's new self-publishing platform that just came
Okay,
out.
yeah, definitely not how I did.
Yeah. So like so it's for me to sit there and go like, well, I mean, which version of this do you want me to say I finished? Because there was the video scripts, there was then the series of short stories, and then there was finally the actual like novel that I also even toyed with a little bit before. So it's it was
Okay, let me rephrase
yeah.
then. The first time that you get like I did on this one, sat down.
Hmm.
For me, it was 7 months later, but
Right.
just straight hauling the work through everything like that. First time you did that, and then like got to the end on that, like on one like that. Because I'm telling you, man, like I am like this whole week I have been in just nothing but a hard adrenaline
Yeah.
crash
For
because
me,
every morning for the past 7 months, I've woken up thinking about the story. Every night, I've fallen asleep thinking about how I rectify or what happens next.
yeah.
Like
Adrenaline crash is a good word for it.
this week,
Adrenaline
I
crash.
have been falling asleep thinking about nothing. It's awesome.
Wow, what's that like?
I honestly forgot what it felt like to do that. Just lay down and be like, all right, what am I going to think about? Nothing. I'm going to close my eyes, stare at the back of my eyelids, and just go to sleep.
I don't think that has ever happened to me in my entire goddamn life.
It took work. It took work. And I'm gonna tell you right now,
Mhm.
that is a military skill.
Okay. All
Being
right,
like,
that's
it's
all
like,
right. Yeah.
okay, how much time do we have to sit down? 12 minutes? I'll see you in 10. No, that is, I will tell you that is like, because I could not do that before I joined the military. When I got back from the military, no, pretty much if I sit down and I am not doing anything for 5 minutes straight, I am asleep.
Okay. All right.
Like, that is why specifically I do not have a recliner.
Oh, okay.
I know if I sit down to watch a movie in a recliner, I'm falling asleep.
Gotcha. Okay. That
Every
makes
time,
sense.
guaranteed. I hate visiting my parents' place for that reason because every time I sit down, like I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sitting down, hanging with the every time, and I feel so disrespectful. And they're like,
Yeah.
"You seem like you needed your rest." I'm like, "I
Oh,
really didn't.
yeah.
It's just what happens every time." You
No, I mean
know what I'm
that's
saying?
how it is in my family too. Yeah, I mean, like I remember my mom pointing out once. I can't remember where it was. I had fallen asleep and then like felt embarrassed about it, and my mom even went like, "Well," she goes, well, when your father and I were visiting the Swami doing meditation stuff, and I'm like, oh, we'll talk about that later, but go on with your story.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's like, yeah, that was one of the things they said is that you don't need to feel bad about falling asleep during the meditation thing because if you fell asleep, it means you needed the sleep. So it's cool, you know. And I was like,
Pretty
okay, all
healthy
right,
attitude.
yeah,
No, I'll give it that. No, it's the meditation thing, like actually sitting down trying to think of nothing, that's like sitting down trying not to think of the color red.
right.
Like give it 30 seconds, you would be thinking about Santa Claus drinking a Coke.
But that's the whole thing, I mean, that's
Hmm.
that's what they say, in Buddhism, they say that's how Buddha reached enlightenment, is that he was able to think of absolutely nothing for 3 days straight, and that's how he became enlightened.
Good for him. Ain't gonna
Yeah.
happen to me. No, I got bills to pay.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that is kind of, it's a practice, it's a trade, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, they don't expect you to actually think of nothing. It's about just kind of focusing it. Like, one of my favorites was hearing the Dalai Lama himself talk about how even when he's walking, he's meditating, and it's not that he's not thinking about anything. He's actually focusing all of his attention on what his body is doing while he's walking. He's paying attention to every muscle. He's paying attention to everything he feels under his feet. He's paying attention to how he feels his clothes move with every, step and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And so it's like the first steps of meditation and getting to the point of thinking about nothing is about focusing
So
your
check me
thoughts
out.
in a specific.
I walk
Yeah,
like the Dalai Lama.
there you go. Yes, you're already meditating, sir. You just don't realize it. Yeah.
No, that's the like when we were talking like intense science a few years ago back at the gallery, talking about like proprioception and things along that
Mm,
nature. That
right.
was that was the thing that I really kind of resonated with. That was I can't stop.
Mm,
Like, and again, like talking the military stuff, maybe a little bit of that situational awareness, things like that, knowing, like being aware of all this stuff. And it sucks for my wife
mm,
because, I remember I woke up one morning, came downstairs, I started making coffee and breakfast, all that. And I realized that there are some things a little bit out of whack. And I just start following the pattern of things, and I realized the cat got out, the dog chased the cat, ran over a tree, like ran like all of these things.
Mhm.
Kelly like got off from work or woke up, I can't remember. But like she came into when I saw her, she like really wanted to tell me the story. And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, no, this and she's like, "You weren't there."
I
Yeah.
sensed the disturbance in the force, madam.
So I gotta say, I do feel a little bad for her at the fact that I kind of remove all of her joy every time I do some shit like that.
Yeah.
But no, that was the big thing that came to mind when we were discussing things like those art pieces, like proprioception and whatnot. Um, you ever actually like think back to like those days at Portland and stuff like that, and wonder if there's a way that that could be in the future again?
Sometimes, not much. I think that's kind of where I'm in a
Like not
weird.
the same thing, but like
No, no, no.
back
Yeah,
in the habit of like working on things like that.
yeah. I know what you mean there. And I don't know. That I think that's kind of like where I'm at this weird space right now is because um, I had I had plans. The pandemic derailed those plans,
Sure. Yeah.
and now like derailed them as such that there's kind of there's really no hope of resurrecting them. And now I'm kind of stuck in this sort of waiting to see what happens with, the one or two irons that I have in a fire right now. And kind of for the first time in my life, I don't really have a plan. My kids
Mm-hmm.
are moved out doing their own thing. I've kind of, gone my own way on a lot of the creative teams that I was on. I'm doing the writing thing. It's chugging along at a very slow pace, but it's chugging along.
You have 5 books
Five
out right
books
now.
out right now. Yep.
That's not that slow.
I mean, as
Don't
far as
compare. You
like,
can't compare yourself to Brandon Sanderson.
no, I'm not. I'm just kind of more thinking in terms of like, I could be doing more in marketing. And you know that because
Oh
you've been
yeah.
yelling at me about it for months now. So
Yes,
it could be
and
doing better.
I'm justified.
Yeah. Um,
The
but
thousands, millions of artists out there. When I have the product, and they're out there, they're hucking their product already, and they haven't even finished it. You have 5 finished products, and you ain't
mhm,
doing shit. You deserve to
no,
get yelled at because you are way further along than you give yourself credit for.
no, I know. And it's not that I don't hear you. I just,
Everybody's got their challenges. It's just
yeah.
plain and
And well,
simple.
and I think that's kind of part of it is that I've had so many I've had so many of these runs, of,
I remembered my pre-show story.
oh, well, let's hear it now. Why not?
Do you remember when Manu Bennett came to town, Rose City Comic Con, and he was like signing autographs up there?
Vaguely. I think I remember you talking about it after the fact, but I wasn't there for
You
any of it.
did. Well, yeah, like things were already a little bit tense with particular parties.
Right.
So I go to this place, this convention, and we have to get in because somebody inside the convention has 2 badges, and there's 3 of us. So we were trying to figure out how this was gonna happen. Well, kind of an interesting thing. I went up to one of the security guards, and I was there dressed how I usually dressed back then.
Right.
Pants, shirt, tie, all this. And I'm just,
Clothing.
well, no, like like professional looking clothing. And I was at a
Oh,
convention, so I didn't look like one of the convention goers. I wasn't in costume or anything like that.
okay.
Like, so I'm walking towards the door, and I'm thinking that like I'm walking with a purpose. I'm like, I'm gonna ask this guy a question. Dude just opens the door for me. And he's like, "Sir?" And I'm like, "Thank you." So I walk right past him. He thinks I'm one of the celebrities that's there to do some signing.
Dude, you know what that is? That's straight out of the paper, man. A clipboard and a confident wave got you in that building. And you didn't
Straight
even
up.
need the clipboard.
No, I just walked right in. Like I just walked right up to a security guard and he opened the door like he was a doorman. I'm like, that was wild. Walk
Hmm.
in, I grabbed the badges and I was like, that was cool. I went in and checked it out. I said hi to Manu. And when I came out, I hand the badges off to the two people and they're like, how did you just get in there? And I'm like, and I told them. And as they're going in, I was like, it's fine. I don't need one. Somebody that recognized me, I had no idea who they were. They were like, hey, Brad, it's good to see you. And I'm like, hey, it's good to see you. And they're like, oh, we're just leaving. I'm like, are you taking your badge? So it was just like kind of, like, and the whole situation set up. And as we went through and we're walking in, they're like, that was like some like straight spy shit. Like you just, everything you wanted to have happen through that little sequence of events, everything just went your way. And
Nice.
it was
Yeah.
like, that was a really cool thing until I went up to go say hi to Manu Bennett. So, okay, so if you're not familiar with Manu Bennett, he plays Crixus in Spartacus. He plays Deathstroke on Arrow. He's doing pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
And I did stunts in a movie with him that he was the star. And the very first thing that he said when he walked in on that set, he walked in, all the stuntmen were there. We were all in a circle, and he was just like introducing himself to everybody. And he just kept looking at me, and I'm like, shit. Because as you know, with Christian Kane, he was like
Right.
eyeing me a little too hard, and he had me kicked off set because we looked
Right.
too much alike. So I'm looking at this dude who's like 2 inches like shorter than me, and like we got like the same beard, like the same hair. I'm like, oh damn it, this is not about to happen again. And and it didn't. He did something spectacularly cool. And he just kind of came through, was meeting everybody, meeting everybody. He comes to me, he's like, you're a handsome fella. Who's gonna be killing you? And I was like, dude, I was like, that who is gonna be you? And like just from the very second that I started talking to him, it was just outstanding. He was a great man to work with. I had a
Nice.
blast. So when he came to Rose City Comic Con and I went to go say hi, I just go stand in line with all, like, it's just me and a sea of women.
Right.
No dudes
Okay.
are there to get an autograph. It's just a bunch of women and me. So he looks up and he sees me and he jumps over the table and rushes through the crowd of all these women. And all you hear is, oh my God, ooh, ooh, Manu. And like all this. And they all create this circle around us and just are throwing all of their estrogen right at Manu. And I'm trying to dodge it and I'm like catching all stuff. I have all like, is that his brother? And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, no, not even a little bit. And I'm like, oh man, I might actually look like your idiot kid brother. And I'm sitting there, and with all of these women hardcore focusing on us, all he's doing is he's giving me this big hug and he's just talking to me like nobody else is there. I'm sweating bullets because that is attention I have never received in my life. And it wasn't even mine, it was just
Right.
bouncing off of him. I'm like, dude, I do not know how you do this. I'm out of here. Call me and we'll go get a drink later.
You were getting the full mob. Who the fuck is this guy treatment?
100% I hated it. Oh,
Mm.
I did not like being like that. And I felt,
See,
dude,
that's
Carrie
you
Fisher was like 2 tables down. Why couldn't she jump over the table and come give me a hug? I would have loved that.
Yeah. Yep. No, see, there was the thing is like you were asking about her earlier. That's what it was like dating Rue. Like everywhere I
Oh,
went, like it was a constant. Like every guy, every girl, every bartender, every waiter, like everyone would they'd be like, "Oh, it's yes, no, whatever you want, miss, whatever you like," and then be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
yep. I that is exactly how that felt.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's not the part that bothered me. It was literally just like having that many people staring at me for, and like I said, I was not ready for it at all. Maybe had I been ready, because I've I've presented like song of the
Hmm.
year in front of thousands of people, stuff like that. Not that big of an issue for me. I was ready for it. But for some reason, 50 thirsty women, no. No, that was way too much for me.
Hmm.
And like how rigorously Manu jumped over that table to escape the situation and to come over and give me a hug and have a break. I understood that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, dude, you've been sitting here all day and all you needed was a buddy. No, that was the story I was trying to tell for the pre-show.
Okay.
Completely forgot it. I don't even know how I could forget that story. That was a
N-
wildly good day.
no. Yeah. And I actually have a counter to it. That's the thing. Is like
Oh, see, now that just pisses me off a little bit extra.
I would have got yeah I would have gotten a good story in as well to go along with it. Yeah.
All right. Well, what's your pre-show after hour story? Which
This.
actually, before you get into that, I
Mhm.
want to raise a question. I was thinking because we have to come up. We are getting surprisingly close to memberships and things like that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we need to start coming up with some ideas. So while we have a couple viewers in here as well, does anybody have any idea for what we should call the pre-show, what we should call the after hour, and what we should call our people?
Oh, okay. What the fan name should be. Yeah.
Yeah, like you got like on the Damage Report. I know you're a big fan. Like that's
Yeah.
the Dragon Squad and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Somebody did comment on one of our shorts. They're like, "What do you call your fans? The Den of Thieves?" And I'm like, "Oh, ooh,
Den of Thieves. What's
heist."
the? Oh, okay.
That never even came to mind at all. But I was like, "Oh my god, we could have like Baby Thief and Master Thief as like the tier members and things like that." Sorry, I've been meaning to ask you that for like 2 weeks and kept forgetting. So I wanted to bring that up while I had that. Go ahead with your story though.
That's a good question. Well, okay. So yeah, this is another con story, another celebrity con story. This is
Oh,
my
okay, all right,
and this one did not go well. This is an embarrassing story. I
love
feel
it.
and the reason why I normally would not tell this in public because it makes me look really really bad. But I feel like it's time that like maybe I should just put it out there so that the person involved hopefully can hear this and accept my apology. Okay.
I'm very happy that we gained a couple of viewers right when you were talking about how horrible of a story this is. Let's go.
So this is at a con. This is at the convention, the con in Portland.
Rose
Yeah,
City.
It was Rose City Comic Con. Yeah, because there's like three, but yeah, it was Rose
Oh,
City.
okay.
Um, but I'm there with my kids, and one of the celebrities that's there doing the signings. Uh, well, okay, so
Who is it?
it's near. I'll get to that in a second.
All
Near
right,
the end
all
of the
right.
day, near the end of the day. We've been looking at stuff. We've been checking out cosplayers, that whole thing. Got some. My kids got some pictures with some characters. And so it's like we're on our way out the door, and the way out the door, we pass by the signature alley, the place where they have all of the
Yep,
people lined
yep.
up. So that's like you got to walk past it to get to the exit. And as we're going past, like I can't even see any of the celebrities because the crowds are packed into these little stalls to get their signatures, going all the way deep. Can't see who's who until we get to the very last one. The very last booth is completely empty and I can see all the way to the back. And there is Avery Brooks just sitting there.
Who's that?
Commander Cisco from Deep Space Nine.
Cisco.
Yes,
Deep Space Nine.
of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He's basically the Picard. He was the captain. He's Commander Cisco because he's the commander of a space station.
Oh, I remember Deep Space Nine now. Okay, I only saw the
Yeah.
pilot.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I was thinking
So
Voyager, and I'm like, Janeway?
yeah, no Cisco. Um, and amazingly enough, like yeah, there's nobody there. Like his booth is empty. He's just sitting there. And as we walk by and see him there, he sees us pass by and waves at us. He's like, hey. And I was like, holy shit, it's Captain Cisco. And I turned to my kids and I go, kids, because they're right in the middle of watching Deep Space Nine for the first time. They're like on season two.
Oh, nice. That's a
Yeah.
cool
So like
moment then.
and so I'm like, hey kids, do you want to go see? You want to go say hi to Captain Cisco? Both of my kids, literally in chorus, go no, because Deep Space Nine took a little bit of a different turn than the other Star Treks. It was a little bit less of the utopian everyone getting along thing. So where they are in the show, Captain Sisko's kind of sort of an antagonistic character. He's a bit of a dick.
Oh.
He's not a hero in their eyes at that point. So no, they don't want to go talk to the asshole Sisko.
Oh
and
no.
and
Oh,
so
that
yeah,
sucks.
and so I just kind of go, okay, and I turn and I wave back to Avery Brooks, and we walk along. And it wasn't until like
That hurts.
maybe 10 minutes later, I'm going through the parking lot, and it just suddenly hits me like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
That's a bit of
told
a rough
that
one.
yeah, I told that story to another friend, another con friend, a couple years ago, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're the reason Avery Brooks doesn't come to Portland anymore." So I don't know what the odds are, but if anybody out there knows Avery, tell him I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. The kids were there. It was a long day. I wasn't thinking. I really, really should have stopped and said hello. Please come back to Portland. We love you here.
Yeah,
Wearing the
I
shirt,
did
you
say
know.
if there's any city that loves Star Trek, it is
Hmm.
Portland. It's got to
Yeah.
be. Like there can't be any standalone city that loves Star Trek as much as Portland.
I mean, maybe New York, but that's only because they have that much more of a population than us.
Nah, that's why I'm saying like per capita.
Oh, okay. Per capita, then yeah, no, probably we got them
I'm
beat.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Yeah, that is kind of crazy. There's a few Star Trek actors that I've met in Portland. I met Harry Kim
Yeah.
in Portland, but it was
Yep.
before I watched Enterprise, so I had no idea who he was. Um, that was the same night that I met Gigi Edgley, and
Yeah, you told me about that, and I'm still mad at you.
she wasn't blue. You wouldn't have cared.
No, you don't. No, it's not like that. It's not like that,
No, no,
sir.
no.
How
She
dare
was
you?
she was very, very nice. She was super kind. No, that was the night that yeah, I showed up to a con after party with all of the celebrities and
Mm.
just kept telling everybody that I'd never seen their show, and they're like, "Why?" And like, yeah, no, yeah, that was my big hanging out with celebrities faux pas. But the
Right.
weird
Yeah.
thing was the guy who was hosting the place, he loved that so much. He's like, "You're a veteran, aren't you?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And he like took me down into the basement, showed me like all the trophies and awards, poured a shot for his deceased dad and me and him, and like sat there and told me some stories about his dad.
Hmm.
So, a little bit of a win, a little bit of a loss, but
Sure. Yeah.
honestly,
Okay.
I actually won where it mattered. But I cannot believe that I am just now remembering this. That same day, the story that I was talking about Manu Bennett,
Hmm.
I met Joey Pants.
Oh, really? In all the
Yeah,
times we've been
not
talking
not
about
not
Joey
not
Pants.
not 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 no 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 no. Not enough to actually tell a story.
Okay. All right.
All
I
right.
just feel like we've talked about him in like three different movies now,
I
and
know, and
we've
that's
never
why my
mentioned that you met
brain
him. Mm.
yeah, that's why my brain just kind of like, wait a minute, I actually have an exchange with not a like I said, not a story, just like the most minor of exchanges of just hi. And
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
he just waved back as I because like I said, I was walking through a section of Rose City Comic Con that I was not supposed to be allowed in because they just let me in a door.
Right. Yes. Okay.
So where like the actors were like the staging area for the actors to come in before they go, that's where I was walking through.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it was just kind of like one of those like behind the scenes, and I saw him and I was like, hey, like Cipher, because that's the thing. I didn't know his name at that point. I only knew him as Cipher,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and just the dude that every time I see him, I love him.
Yep.
He was kind of more gruff Paul Giamatti for me.
Yeah, he is. He's like a, like you could see in a movie, like if you were just to sort of like casually cast people, you would cast Giamatti as like the grizzled old Don, and and Joey Pants is his like really hyper nephew that really wants to impress him.
I would watch that movie.
Fucking A, yeah.
I would watch that. I'd watch that movie in a heartbeat. Oh my god. But I mean, oh god, like because neither of them ever get starring roles. They're always second build, third build.
Right, yeah.
What's a movie straight up starring Paul Giamatti?
Oh, I actually brought this up earlier when we did Ghost World. There was another movie that was based off of a very similar styled graphic novel, and I couldn't remember the title of it at the time. I remember it now. It's American Splendor, and that stars
Okay, I know that one.
Paul Giamatti. Yeah, Paul Giamatti as the main character of that. So not exactly what you would call a romantic lead, but I mean it technically counts. He's the lead of the movie. He's the only person on the poster. So
Okay, well then, yeah, I got to give it that then.
mhm.
Uh, man, trying to think. I'm trying to think. I mean, few celebrities here and there. I drank with Dr. Spalding or Mr. Belding. Saved by the Bell.
Oh,
Balding?
never watched it.
Oh, the
I
principal.
was like the only person I knew who didn't watch that show.
Oh, I had such a crush on Lisa Turtle. Wow, huge crush. Lark Voorhees. That's her name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one, the actress who played Lisa Turtle. Uh, when I was a kid, my epic crushes were her and first Karen Parsons, who played Hillary on Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Oh, okay.
Then, after a few years, and much more age appropriate for me, Tatiana M. Ali, who plays Ashley on that show.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No, like those were my like really big crushes when I was a kid. Yeah, never met them though.
Hmm.
I've actually never. Oh, that's not true. I did come across Felicia Day that one time.
Oh yeah,
She
yeah.
was
It's
awesome.
right. Yeah, you told me about that. Yeah, that was a good story.
Dude, I never realized that she was married to Nathan Fillion until like 2 weeks ago.
I didn't know that's who she was married to either.
Yeah,
Really?
I just found that out. Yeah, she's like,
Huh.
but that couple makes
That
sense.
works. Yeah, that's right up there with
But it makes me
you know,
wonder how long have they been together? Because weren't wasn't he and her on Buffy at the same time?
not quite. I think her character died just before his character was introduced. But they did do Dr. Horrible together soon after that.
Oh, right. Yes, Doctor Horrible.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, wow. Doctor Horrible sing along blog never came to mind. Also, Joss Whedon at one point did say there was going to be a sequel to Doctor Horrible, but I think after what happened with DC, I kind of think they broke Joss Whedon.
Yeah, like he had quite a mighty fall. Like him not wanting, after like well, it was a threefer for him because first there was the shit that he took for Avengers 2. Then there was the shit that he took for all of his contributions to all the DC stuff. And then when Charisma Carpenter's story came out about how he treated her during Angel,
Oh, I don't know about
um,
this.
oh yeah, no, apparently I mean, I don't know all the details. It was kind of one of those things like as the news was coming out, I was getting bitten some pieces. But apparently, on the set of Angel, uh, Whedon was like borderline abusive to everybody, and he was worse to Charisma more than anybody else because
That's a
I
bummer.
mean, yeah, because basically that the show like both he was running both Buffy and Angel at the same time. They were both constantly under threat of being canceled, and he was under pressure. And then when Charisma got pregnant, he basically took it all out on her. Basically, you saying you're going to ruin me is kind of
Damn.
yeah. So yeah, and so basically he got me too to a certain degree. And
See,
so
I didn't know it was Charisma Carpenter that did that. I thought it was what happened with who's the actor who played Cyborg in Justice League?
I do not remember.
I can't remember his name either. Yeah, unfortunately, but pretty much like the biggest portion of his audience and his supporters were
Hmm.
people who are not cool with shit like that. Like he built himself as a filmmaker representing like a little bit like, being one to push representation.
Right, yeah.
And it turns out that he's kind of a dick to that representation. But the first thing that kind of set me a little bit sideways on Joss Whedon
Hmm.
was when he was messaging the gallery owner's assistant back in Portland.
Oh, I did not hear about that.
You don't okay, I don't want to say her name on the show, but at the same
I do
time, I
remember
mean,
who you're talking about, though. Yes.
okay. Um maybe the second one. Like the second
Yes.
assistant.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, so we are talking about the same
I
person.
figured. Yeah.
She was the
Because
she was the
yeah,
comedian
yeah,
and
knowing
she was
who
like,
ran in what circles, I was able to narrow it down.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But she was like super excited over like that Joss Whedon was like DMing her on Twitter and all of this
Hmm.
stuff and like the things that she was describing, I was like, this sounds really shady. And like her incredible insistence, she's like, come on, the guy who made Buffy. No, you just don't understand. You don't understand. I'm like, you are in danger, lady. And I don't know how to really get that
Yeah.
across to you. So I was like, some people got to learn lessons on their own.
Yep.
But no, that was the
But
first thing. Like when she was talking about those messages and those like types of things, I'm like, do you not realize that you're kind of getting a front row seat into finding out that a guy that we all like is kind of a scumbag?
hmm. Yep.
Like, it sucks.
And that's, yeah, that's basically what happened. Yeah, it seems because, yeah, I don't know what he's been doing or done since. I don't think anyone really cares. And it's weird too because like it's also brought like I've noticed a lot of people are like rewatching Buffy or even watching Buffy for the first time and are like recognizing really quickly that Xander is Joss's like his personal stand-in. You know, Xander
Oh,
represents
I thought that was well known.
I mean, for yeah, if you were into it enough, but yeah, for a lot of people, they're
Oh,
realizing
okay.
it for the
Okay,
first
yeah.
time as they're watching it for the first time. They're seeing it pretty quickly, and so it's like it's coloring the fact of the whole like, oh, now we all kind of hate Xander, you know, like right out of the bat, and
Ooh, that's a bummer.
yeah, because yeah, but yeah, so it's interesting to kind of see that sort of like retroactive effect take place, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't care what he's doing because it seems to me like he's basically kind of self-retired. It sounds like
Yeah,
between all
that's what
that
it
sort of
kind of looks
stuff,
like. I got a
like
question for
he
you.
just sort of went like, you know what, I'm done, and I'm like, okay, fine, you're done. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gave us some good stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, honestly, you gave us a lot of good stuff. Not all of it was great.
No,
Uh, damn it, I gotta stop doing this. I prep a question and then I forget it. I gotta stop doing this. That's like the fourth time that's
start.
happened
Yeah.
tonight.
So you got to start writing shit down. Clearly, yes.
I know. But what we were trying to figure out a little bit ago is because we are getting closer to uh like the monetization, members, everything like that. We're trying to figure out what we should call our members, what we should call our supporters. And like where other channels they have little gifs and little
Mm.
images and stuff like that that go with like membership tiers.
Oh, sure. Right. Yeah.
As
Special
fast as this is
emojis.
going along, it kind of seems like that's the kind of stuff that we should start figuring out.
Hmm.
And I like the idea because our show was called Heist. I really like that comment that somebody came through like asking like very sarcastically like if our supporters are like our thieves or like the 40 thieves or something like that. And I'm like, dude, that is a fantastic idea.
Hmm.
And I kind of
I mean, I
like
feel like.
I'm kind of thinking about steering into that kind of skid.
Well, I
Like
mean,
the pre-show can be like the planning phase or something. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like you know, since we're doing mostly like movies and stuff, I feel like pirates is more appropriate than thieves. But It's
Ah,
kind of hard to combine pirates to heist. Heist is very specifically a thieving thing.
true. And even though pirates are, they do thief.
Hmm. There is, I mean, yeah, I mean, like essentially spiritually, yes, heisting and um
Piracy?
plundering,
Oh, there you go. Plundering.
yeah,
Thank you. I
yeah,
was really like I said like thief, like a thief
yeah.
as like an action. I'm like, no, no, that's not how words work. You literally started this after hour being all celebratory because you finished your debut novel, and here you are using fucking you don't even know how to word correctly.
Yeah,
Man,
we've all been there.
where that is true,
Hmm.
still, you kind of shoot for it. Nah. Do you have any ideas for something that can come up like that? I've been kind of racking my brain on that. I can't come up with anything.
I mean, not anything that is. I mean, all I
Nothing
can
that
think of,
jumps out at
like
least.
through, yeah, and I can think of like standard, like industry terms, like pre-production, post-production, but
Well,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
but
that, yeah,
the fact that we named the show Heist, we really actually probably should have thought about stuff like this. I don't know, 6 months ago.
maybe, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I was just calling it. Haven't you seen this? You're the one who came up with the heist stuff,
it's because I didn't want to say the full title every week.
right? Yeah.
I'm lazy. I'm not lazy. I do a show and I edit the shit out of it. I do all this stuff. No,
You do
but
more work than me, like by far. Like that's the thing. Is like I'm sitting here, you're asking me these questions, and I'm sitting here going, like, isn't this your job? Why are you asking me these questions? Like,
fuck off.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, realistically, kinda.
Yeah.
But still,
I
the
mean,
conversation, you gotta have it.
I'm just gonna go along with whatever you decide anyway. So,
I still, I want ideas.
yeah, okay. I mean,
Wait,
let me
actually, I
think on
want to
that a
know
bit.
because you were talking about how you've been kicking some things up into a little bit higher of a gear. Like, when are you going to start telling people about the other series of books that you've been writing or planning?
Right now, in my head, I'm thinking 10 years after my parents die.
Oh, because okay, it's one of those type deals.
Hmm.
Okay, no, you can't do that. You gotta, you gotta kick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and that's the thing. It's kind of hard to explain. That's the thing is like I'm still figuring out a lot of it myself. And
Oh, that's fair.
I'm not even sure where, um, if this even is going to be my next project. I mean, that's the thing is like I'm doing the outside world books. I'm on book 4. Um, I'm kind of at a place there with book 4 out. I'm kind of at a place where honestly,
Okay, I was about to
like
say, I thought you were on book 5.
I finished book 4. Sorry, yeah. Book 4 is out and I kind of sort of know what's going to happen in book. I know how the series ends. I don't have each book individually planned out yet. And I'm only kind of still deciding on where I'm going to take book 5. But that's the thing is like what I'm saying is like basically I have put out in my feeling I've put out the first 13 episodes of the series. If this were a TV series, my first 13 episodes are out. And now the jury is out as to whether or not to get renewed. I'm not 100% sure that this is going to be a series that continues because I don't know yet what the reception is. The reviews are too few, the sales are too small. I I don't know if I can call this a success or not, and if I'm going to be spending, I mean, let's face it, a lot of time
The
writing these
next like
books.
15 years based off of how many books you told me are supposed to be in it and
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like it's 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 an unfortunate fact of living in late stage capitalism. I have to go where the money is. And if this series
hmm.
doesn't have money in it yet, then I gotta at least, if not give it up, I gotta at least put it on hold until later and go and start working on something that will make money.
or
And
or market your shit so people actually have the opportunity to find out if they like
Well,
it.
there is that. That's why I haven't totally given up on it yet, is because I know that there is still that. But yeah, but yeah, and so that's the thing. It's like
Which
that's kind of
I guess I can start announcing it now that I actually have like a, it's underway. My
yes.
goal was to have this done or in the editor's hands by the end of the year, and it is kind of looking like that might happen.
100%. Yeah.
So that goal seems to have hit. So next year, I will be hitting the road and I will be pushing my book as far as I possibly can.
Mhm.
I don't know why you wouldn't join me.
Um, money. I mean, traveling the country is somewhat expensive,
Can't you
and
Uber wherever you go or Lyft or
no,
whatever?
not anymore. Not anymore.
Ah, that's a bummer.
They kind of set. I mean, you can kind of sort of travel it to other cities, but you get put at the bottom of the queue, and so it's not really worth it. You basically
Ah,
have your central city, and that's it. Um,
well, yeah, but I mean, you start making sales and stuff like that, and then the money kicks in.
I mean,
But
sure, I would love to believe that is possible. Yes.
well, once we do reach monetization, we will start listing the books on the channel,
Okay. Well, and I
which
don't see
I
any reason why we can't.
way expected to have my book done before we reached monetization. That's not going to happen.
Cool for the
No, that
show.
is cool for the show.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. That happened like a fifth in the amount of time that like most YouTube articles and stuff like that say it would. So
which I mean, I don't know what it is that we've done, viewers, to attract you to us, but I appreciate you. I do, even though
I
I
think it's
am
my
constantly
ever-changing
calling.
beard and hair.
There you go. Yes, and maybe they actually like being called savages all the time. Maybe that's where it is.
You know, there might be a little piece of that. You know
Hmm.
what? I honestly don't know. I know that the podcast actually like on the actual podcast networks
Hmm.
is picking up and going like a lot further than I was really expecting it to. Like, yeah, sometimes I kind of dog myself. I beat myself up a little bit, thinking that I should be doing better or something like that. But there is every once in a while that I'm going through and I'm looking at the stats and the analytics and all this, and it does feel good every
Nice,
once in a
nice.
while. But I
Yeah,
am very, very self critical. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm amazed. I mean,
that we're
we
doing
we we
okay for
broke
sure.
we broke 500 subscribers on YouTube. I know that much, and in
Mm-hmm.
less than a year, as far as I know, that's unheard of. You know, if you, I mean, unless I
If you
mean,
have not had a like if you didn't come from something that already had a bunch, but just
right, yeah.
straight up starting from scratch and not sitting here dancing and taking our clothes off, no, I think we're doing okay.
Which I considered, uh, set it against it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody want to see me do that.
No,
Nah, just a
those
bunch of
days are past me.
couple shots of tequila and probably not for me, but those are not in my sober days.
Yep.
Like that
But no,
I can tell you that much. But
it's,
no, but
I mean,
when the thing that I wanted to talk about with that book tour and stuff though,
mhm.
once I start getting out there, I probably should be rolling with at least a few hundred of your books. Because if I'm getting mine put in stores, it doesn't make any sense why I would be pushing my stuff and not pushing yours at the same time.
I mean, that seems like a lot. But I mean, I can at least definitely set you up with some copies for sure. And I'm sure like if you, I mean, if by some miracle you actually do run out of the ones that I give you, then I'm sure I can FedEx more copies to wherever you're at. It's no problem.
Oh well,
So
yeah, but that's no. I'm buying a trailer. I'm gonna load it up with I don't know 1,000 books, and I'm gonna hit the road, and I'm not gonna stop until they're gone.
okay, I mean that seems not the worst plan I've ever heard.
Psychotically
Yeah,
motivated, yeah,
yeah.
but also look at how I left North Dakota.
Right. Yeah.
I
That's kind of
got
this is kind of your
in
MO. Yeah.
kinda, yeah. I left North Dakota with a busted Jeep in the middle of December and no heater, and I had to be going over 45 miles an hour just for heat to eep out and warm me up. And I drove from North Dakota to Oregon, and I just got started in the entertainment industry out of just sheer force of will.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And for the most part, I did kind of okay.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
I'd
I'm
say, Portland treated you well and you treated Portland well. It was a good time for all.
the unfortunate part is even if I didn't leave, it still would have gone the way it did
Yeah, probably.
because everything went to shit like 2 months later anyway.
Hmm. Well, I mean, and that's, like I said, and that's one of the things I was going to I was kind of leading to earlier, was that, yeah, it's like I've had these almost things happen and then fall apart too many times in a row. I don't really have a lot of, and I've got way less of that youthful verve than I had back then
Mm,
nowadays.
right.
Um, so get up and go again is not as much in my skill set as it used to be. So I'm kind of I think that's kind of like where things are getting weird for me right now is that now that the kids are out and I'm relatively on my own and I have no plan. I'm kind of it's I almost feel like I'm already retired and just waiting to die, except I'm way, way, way too young for that. You
Considering
know,
out of the two of us, you're the one who wants to live to be 1,000, yeah, I would
well, you see
say
why this is
so.
fucking with me, right? Yeah.
You're not even a 20th of the way there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you understand where this is all kind of a very, mentally weird moment for me that I kind of like I don't know what I'm doing next. I know what I'm doing right now and I know that I don't really expect much from it very soon. I and I kind of like I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird holding pattern and I'm both kind of okay, comfortable there, while also at the same time really not, because that's never
I
how
get
I've
that.
lived before. I've always been, up until right before the pandemic, I've always been at a run. The pandemic made me stop, and now that I'm stopped, I'm like, well, shit. I guess this is where I'm here. I'm here now, and I'm.
Man, I really do get that. Like it did kind of throw some curveballs in there. Like definitely like I'm 100-mile-an-hour kind of guy.
Hmm.
If I'm coasting at like 50 miles an hour, I'm probably screwing some things up because I need to be doing like six things at once and they all got to be tough.
Right.
And I can succeed like that. Slowing down to the extreme, only do this and you don't have to focus on a thing and just kind of relax and all that.
Right.
No, do not know how to do that. Like the channel is called the Hacksaw Workshop because I cannot stop workshopping. There is that is my entire personality. If we're talking about a book or a movie, if we're talking about politics, if we're talking about physical fitness, we're talking about anything. My core
Ooh,
personality is how can we make it better?
there going instead of going off of Heist, going off of Hacksaw Workshop. We could call our fans the Workshoppers.
The elves.
Workshoppers sounds a little more what's the word I'm looking for? Adult.
I don't know, man. Legolas was kind of dope.
Oh, okay. All right, fair. But I mean, if we are talking workshop elves, that ain't Legolas, man. That's
That's
that's the
Herbie.
fucking yeah. That's the the little kids that were in the Santa Claus. Like
Oh yeah. I
God, that movie
forgot
was
all about the
fucking
Santa
creepy.
Claus. Yeah, there were some creepy moments in that. Like that little like overly flirtatious moment with Tim Allen and that one little yeah.
Oh right, yeah, and they put that in the trailer. Like that's
Oh, I don't even remember that.
yeah.
No, okay. No, I get that. All right. I'll take this week. I'll try to think of some stuff because I mean I it's approaching quickly.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I mean,
so
I think how about we can come up with a few, narrow it down to like four, and
oh,
go
and then
ahead
do a
and
poll.
do a poll, and then whatever gets the least amount of votes, that's what we go with.
Fair enough.
Because our audience doesn't know what they're talking about.
All right.
Hey, this is apparently what they want, okay?
All right, guys, that's gonna bring a close to this week's after hour. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, we have the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music. I think we're on Pandora. I need to check that out, make sure. But if you guys want to join us on for the live show, it's Thursday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time.